Hello out there, everybody. Just wanted to get another video out there. Sorry, been a little absent as of late, but we've covered some important topics, especially these last few weeks, when it comes to the ongoing management and leadership of people and organizations. When it comes to equal employment, how do you respond to harassment claims, discrimination? Those things come up, but how do you react to them? And then you have performance management itself. You have behavior that might not be work appropriate. How do you react to that? Often we talk about discipline, corrective action, things like that. Is it helpful? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it necessary? Those are the kind of things to think about. So, corrective action, of course, the goal is to address unmet expectations that have already been clarified. Make sure that that's clear. We shouldn't be giving someone a written warning if we haven't discussed what's expected or haven't had previous conversations or documentation of their performance. So there's a couple things to keep in mind with corrective action. What's the best format? What's the best way to help this employee? It really can be individual basis. At the same time, there's certain things that are driven by policy. We've got to be consistent with our policies so that we're consistent in the eyes of the other employees. So at all times, there's a balance. There's a perception that has to be kept. If we discipline Susie for mistakes in her work, but we let Brian get away with it, other employees see that, and then that immediately evaporates trust. And so being consistent and clear in all that we do really creates a positive environment, or that sense of equity that needs to be there for each employee. So how do you know when you should terminate an employee? You hear about the states that are equal employment and things like that. Really, it follows the chain of corrective action. And the phrase that I use at work with my managers, as I say, is our conscience clear on this one? Have we addressed the issue? If there's an employee where a performance gap has existed over a course of time, we've discussed it. We've coached the behavior. We've documented expectations and have multiple sets of documentation, and it's still not being met, then it should be no surprise to that employee when they get terminated. And so those are the two questions. Is our conscience clear, and are they going to be surprised by this action? Sometimes they are, but a majority of the time, as we say, employees fire themselves. HR doesn't, or a manager doesn't. Employees fire themselves, especially if we're clear. So being clear is a huge deal. So that's something I always like to chime in on, is it's so important to have clear communication, clear expectations, so that people know what's going on. As we go into this final week, week 13, the final full week of content, there's a ton packed into this. It's workplace balance. And life has many challenges, and life comes at all of us. And whether we like to think it or not, it does affect employees' performance at work. And there's actually a ton of research there about it. So if we have resources in place, if we have managers that know how to help employees handle those challenges, and we stay back far enough that we're not getting too involved, we can really help work become a point of stability to someone who might be going through a divorce, or might be dealing with some addiction, or might be having difficult medical issues at home, or you name it. So we've really got to be aware of that. You'll read a lot about the drug and alcohol difficulties. That's a huge issue. Most companies have solid policies surrounding that. Aside from that, you'll hear about the life challenges that can come up. So there's a lot that can go on, and so we really have to be mindful of that. At the end of the day, we're running a business. We're helping organizations, but our people have to feel supported to an extent, and at least have to feel enabled to deal with their challenges. So just something to think about this week, and we'll go from there. I have another intro video that you'll see from Monday morning, which links a talk from Elder Christofferson called Daily Bread. It's a wonderful talk. Hope you'll take a look. Thanks.